Good afternoon. It's Monday, the 20th of March. I'm Yael Shir, and this is IBA News, broadcasting live from Jerusalem. The coalition crisis threatening to topple the government is apparently nearing its end. Sources close to the Prime Minister said that while a solution is close, there's still a lot more work that needs to be done. Overnight Tourism Minister Yariv Levin, who is representing the Prime Minister, met with Director General of the Treasury, Shai Babed, on behalf of Finance Minister Moshe Kachlon. The two discussed several compromises to resolve the crisis over the new Israel Broadcast Corporation, which is slated to replace the existing Israel Broadcasting Authority at the end of April. According to initial reports, the new Broadcasting Corporation will begin operations on the 1st of May as planned, but will incorporate more IBA employees, and conditions of those IBA employees who will retire will reportedly be improved. In addition, supervision of the new corporation will be subject to Prime Minister Netanyahu's definition. Meanwhile, some 1,000 employees of the IBA, who are slated to be laid off at the end of April if the new corporation goes ahead, are stepping up their protest measures. Tomorrow, workers will take part in a mass demonstration outside the Histadrut Labor Federation in Tel Aviv. Due to the work sanctions, there will be no IBA English broadcast tomorrow. Against the backdrop of the imminent closure of the IBA, the Histadrut Labor Federation yesterday declared a work dispute, meaning a general strike that would paralyze the country. It could begin in 2 weeks' time. Government taxation offices were closed down, and no fines will be collected or other activities conducted by the bailiff's office. Meanwhile, with everything going on, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with President Xi Jinping and his Chinese counterpart Li Keqiang today in Beijing on the first day of his 3-day visit to China to celebrate 25 years of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Accompanying Netanyahu on his second trip to the Far East nation is a large delegation of Israeli businessmen, as well as Government Minister of Economy and Industry Eli Cohen, Minister of Environmental Protection Ze'ev Elkin, Minister of Science, Technology, Space Ophir Akunis, and Minister of Health Yaakov Litzman. The visit is aimed at boosting economic ties and advancing technology between the two nations, with cooperation agreements on aviation and education expected to be signed during the visit. Talks of establishing a free trade agreement between Jerusalem and Beijing will also continue. President Reuven Rivlin and his wife Nechama arrived this morning at the presidential palace in Hanoi as part of an official state visit to Vietnam. Upon his arrival, the president received a ceremonial welcome headed by his Vietnamese counterpart Tran Dai Quang, whom he warmly invited to visit Israel. Afterwards, Rivlin met with the Vietnamese Prime Minister, and later this evening he and his wife will be the guests of honor at a special state dinner. During his 4-day visit to Vietnam, the president will attend a bilateral economic conference along with members of the Israeli delegation accompanying him, and will meet with the country's defense minister, who is seeking to enhance defense ties with Israel. During the course of his meetings, Rivlin will also discuss future scientific cooperation between the two countries. Speaking with local reporters, Rivlin reacted to the current coalition crisis, saying Israel has many challenges. However, holding early elections over the closure of the IBA is a completely wrong and unnecessary move. Terror groups may attempt to ignite the situation and wage attacks over the upcoming Passover holiday. That's the word from head of Shin Bet security agency, Nadav Argaman. Speaking before the Knesset's Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee today, Argaman warned that while the security agency is engaged day and night in thwarting attacks, the relative calm that the country is experiencing is misleading and deceiving. He added that Hamas, the Islamic Jihad, and other terrorist organizations are working around the clock to launch attacks inside Israel, as well as in Judea and Samaria. Reports out of Syria this morning accuse Israel of striking a Hezbollah convoy on the Syrian-Lebanese border overnight. Israel has yet to confirm or deny the reports, but is consistently stressing it is determined to prevent the transfer of chemical weapons or other game-changing weaponry to Hezbollah. More on this report from IBA's Margot Dudkevich.
Syrian media reports claim Israel attacked Syrian military positions and a Hezbollah convoy in the Kalamun Mountains near the Syrian-Lebanese border. The alleged strike occurred just hours after Syria claimed its army repelled an Israeli reconnaissance drone near the town of Hananebe. Yesterday afternoon, Syrian media reports said an Israeli drone struck a vehicle in the Quneitra area, killing Yasser el-Said, said to be the commander of Syria's air defense units. Defense Minister Victor Lieberman warned Syria yesterday that Israel will destroy its air defense system if Damascus again fires anti-aircraft missiles at Israeli fighter jets. The next time the Syrians use their air defense system against our airplanes, we will destroy all of them without thinking twice, Lieberman vowed. The defense minister was referring to the incident before dawn Friday, when Syria fired anti-aircraft missiles at Israeli jets, targeting weapon sites near Palmyra. Israel responded, deploying its Arrow anti-aircraft missile defense system for the first time to intercept the Syrian missiles. Speaking in Sfat at a ceremony marking the appointment of the new head of the Army's Northern Command, Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Gadi Eisenkot noted, while there's been more than a decade of calm along Israel's northern border, the Army is closely monitoring the situation. Hezbollah, he said, continues to arm itself with more lethal and accurate weapons that it plans to use against Israel in the next round of violence. With tensions mounting along Israel's northern border, Jerusalem fears Hezbollah and Iran, both staunch allies of President Bashar Assad, are intent on opening up a new front against the Jewish state in any future conflict. Margot Dudkevich for IBA News.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's chief of staff, Yoav Horowitz, and political advisor, Jonathan Schechter, are currently visiting Washington to discuss settlement activities with the Trump administration. Israel's ambassador to Washington, Ron Dermer, and U.S. Special Envoy Jason Greenblatt will also attend the meetings aimed at reaching understandings on settlement construction in Judea and Samaria, as well as in East Jerusalem. Last week, Greenblatt visited Israel and the Palestinian Authority, as well as Jordan, in order to gain a better understanding of the situation. Keen to avoid friction with U.S. President Donald Trump, Netanyahu has been moving forward cautiously. He hopes to receive White House approval for the construction of a new settlement for the families evicted from the illegal Amona outpost. The UN Human Rights Council is set to debate a resolution today that calls on the international community to boycott Israeli settlements. The resolution is one of 4 pro-Palestinian resolutions submitted to the Council, likely to be adopted before it wraps up its 34th session at the end of the week. Another resolution that the Council is expected to approve condemns Israel for human rights violations on the Golan Heights. The resolutions call on Israel to end settlement activity and withdraw to the pre-1967 borders. They also demand that the international community not provide Israel with any assistance to be used specifically in connection to the settlements, and warns individuals and businesses of the possibility of liability for involvement in gross human rights abuses. Of the 41 resolutions submitted to the Council, 12 deal with human rights situations in different countries. 5 focus on Israel and 7 deal with Syria, Libya, Sri Lanka, North Korea, Myanmar, and South Sudan. And in more labor protests, hundreds of workers of the Haifa Chemical Company took to the streets again today to protest the slated layoffs of some 1,500 of the company's employees. This due to the pending closure of the ammonia tank in Haifa, which was ordered by the court to shut down on the 1st of April. Workers are demanding that the government find a solution that will prevent the workers from being fired. Today's protest took place while the Knesset's Welfare Committee convened to discuss the issue. MKs strongly criticized the company for not adequately dealing with the dangers of the ammonia tank over the past 4 years, nor finding alternative ways to distribute ammonia, a failure which they say is to blame for the dire situation with which the company's employees are now forced to endure. Another labor dispute. The Histadrut Labor Federation announced today that the Egged Bus Company will begin a nationwide strike starting at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. This due to the failure of the company's management and government authorities to sign a collective agreement aimed at improving the conditions and salaries of the bus drivers. Earlier today, Transportation Minister Israel Katz called on Egged's management to enter discussions with the drivers and reach a swift agreement concerning their terms. The issue will be brought before the labor court this afternoon in an effort to avert the strike. Known as one of the top 10 beach cities in the world, the city of Tel Aviv has teamed up with the country's tourism ministry for a new project aimed at marketing Israel as a winter destination for Europeans. Together with a local hotel chain, the Tel Aviv municipality created a temporary boutique hotel, transforming a regular lifeguard tower into a luxury two-story suite with all the perks, including a hot tub, room service, and very unobstructed ocean views. A one-night stay at the luxurious hotel was given away as a prize to 15 lucky couples as part of an international online photo competition.
I came to Tel Aviv because the Ministry of Tourism invited me to test a new pop-up hotel on the beach, on the Frishman Beach, and I'm very excited to be here. I had a great night in the hotel and I hope to come back soon. I think it's a great project, great idea. When I first walked into the hotel, I was so amazed by the design, which is a design by Brown Hotels, and I think it's great because it was made in just 2 weeks, and I think for just 2 weeks it's amazing.
Tel Aviv has two main assets. One is the beach. We were named one of the top 10 beach cities in the world. And the other one is an unbelievable urban vibe. We're known for the culinary scene and the design scene and the art scene. So this project combines these two assets. You will get to experience an unbelievable hotel room with the best food and the best design and an unbelievable city right on the beach.
How did they say "aye, aye, sailor" thousands of years ago? Well, maybe that's a question for maritime archaeologists, who this weekend inaugurated a faithful replica of a 2,500-year-old Hellenic sailing boat discovered off Israel's coast some 30 years ago. Researchers from the Haifa University joined forces with Israel Antiquities Authority to build the almost exact vessel known as Ma'agan Michael II as part of a learning project aimed at shedding light on ancient seafaring. The replica was built with the same methods, materials, and tools which were used during the Hellenic period. The accurate reconstruction was made possible because the original ancient wreck was well preserved under a layer of silt, giving archaeologists a chance to thoroughly inspect all of its parts. Construction of the ship was said to have cost around 2 million shekels. The vessel is slated to make its maiden voyage down the coast from Haifa to Herzliya later this month.
It's the first time that a ship of this kind is being built as a research project. And also we had two aims in this project. One was how to build ships in this technique similar to what they did 2,400 years ago. And the other research question which we are now going to face is how to sail the Mediterranean Sea with a square sail. We don't know how they did it.
In more news from the past, 9 well-preserved bronze coins dating back to the Byzantine period were recently unearthed by archaeologists during savage excavations and were revealed to the public for the first time yesterday. The coins were discovered near Ein Hamed, some 7 kilometers from Jerusalem, where construction work is underway to expand Highway 1. The coins were found bundled in a cloth purse buried deep in the ground by the wall of an ancient wine press. The coins have images of the Byzantine emperors Justinian, Mauritius, and Phocas, all wearing military garb and carrying a cross. According to the Israel Antiquities Authority, the coins serve as evidence of the Persian invasion of Jerusalem at the end of the Byzantine period. In finance, the stocks were up on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, and the shekel was mixed in foreign exchange trading. Here are the late afternoon numbers. And turning to the forecast, the IBA weather team says tonight will be partly cloudy with a chance of light rain in the north and along the coast. Tomorrow will be cloudy with slight rise in temperatures. Here's a look at the highs and lows for the next 24 hours at home and abroad. That's all for this newscast. Due to the ongoing work sanctions here at the IBA and the mass protests planned, there will be no English news broadcast tomorrow. We hope to be back at this desk on Wednesday. Until then, thanks for being with us. We appreciate your patience and loyal viewership during these times of uncertainty for the IBA employees. I'm Yael Shir, wishing you a good evening and shalom from Jerusalem.